Can we start, Kalpit?
Yeah, please, Vikas.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. So, in today's webinar, we will be covering the topic generative AI in business strategy, tools, and use cases. So, before starting the webinar, let me quickly introduce today's speaker. So, today's speaker is Mr. Kalpit Singh. He's the director of AI at Single Store. He's also the ex-VP of artificial intelligence at Go Self-Serve, and previously he has worked in other prestigious companies like Flam and Microsoft. So he is a leader in the field of AI for mixed reality. He also heads an R&D team at a leading AI startup and was previously the CEO and founder of Cognomen, a startup in the space of face recognition. With over 12 plus years of experience, he has filed 6 patents and he is also having a few more in progress. And more importantly, he is also one of our esteemed AI faculty at Great Learning. So before handing over to the speaker, I would like to give basic instructions about this webinar. So this is a listen only mode webinar. So whatever queries you have, you can use the chat box to give your queries, or you can use the Q&A tab which is present below to ask your questions. So your questions will be addressed either in the middle of the presentation or at the end of the presentation. Okay. Thank you guys. Over to you, Kalpit.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Hi, everyone. My name is Kalpit. I think Vikas has really done a good introduction for me. Thank you so much for that, Vikas. And I welcome everyone in this webinar. In this webinar, I want to be like a little bit more generic in terms of knowledge, so that I would be able to cover the people based on how the audience is here. So if you have any specific questions regarding if let's say you're working in AI already and you want to have a specific question, the scenario you are having, or or you want to know more about another any topic while we will be discussing, you can post your query either on Q&A window or in the chat webinar. Generally, questions has to be put in Q&A. That is what it is meant for. And in the chat webinar, it's more about, whenever I want to ask you a poll or something, hey, guys, how many of you guys are working as a software engineer? All that you can do in the chat webinar. But any window would be fine. But I will not gonna let you know which window is better for what. Awesome. In this webinar, as I said, this is not something where we would be touching the depth of anything. But yeah, I will let you guys also make sure that whatever we will be discussing, I will gonna tell you, what are the sort of techniques which should be taken care while you are dealing with either using tools or doing prompting, or even understanding the use cases if you are coming from product management. Okay. All right. So let's start. So even before I start, um, I just want to know how many of you guys are from engineering background. Engineering background, I mean to say that it's not about BTech, it's more about you guys are already working as a software engineer or as a engineering project manager or something of that role, and you guys know exactly what exactly software engineering is. Am I audible fine, Vikas? I could see that people are saying I'm like speaking light.
Yes, Kalpit, I can hear you properly.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I request guys, if in case there is an issue, I would suggest that if you could increase the volume at your end, because here for my mic as well as for the speaker, I'm using the full volume. Okay. All right. So can you just tell me on the webinar chat, say why if you are from engineering background and N if you are not. I'm waiting for your poll. Mhm. Nice. I could see that, few and few yeses for now, but I would wait for another few seconds. Okay. Electrical engineering is also engineering, so that's fine. You can make it like why if you are from engineering background. Awesome. Awesome, guys. So I think we have a mix because people here, since the objective of this course also is related to business, I believe that people might not be coming from engineering background or maybe coming from engineering background, right? Okay, going towards this point, I would like to tell you that AI has been evolving not only from today but for last 20-25 years. Okay, its evolution started right when we wanted to create a model or create a mathematical equation that can actually solve an XOR gate. Okay, you know what XOR gate is, right? If not, then you can go and search. Okay, so it's like you can use either a line or a plane to separate some data linearly, right? But what about the data when data cannot be separated either by a line or a plane? You need some more dimension to separate it out, right? And that's where it all started, that hey, how a computer will gonna separate two data points either as 0 or 1 from the data samples we have, right? And since then we have lot of improvements in the compute, we have lots of improvement in the resources, GPUs. Lot of evolution has already happened. We have seen that it's not just that we want to use classical machine learning. Classical machine learning, I mean here, is that whatever machine learning where we used to train our models for a specific data set and a specific business requirement, right? So if you see, AI is broadly been divided into two parts. Um, I call it as classical machine learning. Okay, guys, please mind my spellings. I would be typing faster, or and my spellings are also very poor. Okay, okay. So we have classical machine learning, and another one which is getting very popular today is called generative AI. Okay, okay. Classical machine learning, the objective was that hey, I want to use statistics a lot, and with that statistics or mathematical equation, I want to work on a specific data set. What is a data set? Well, data set is nothing but a data which your company is holding in terms of SQL or any database. Okay, it could be related to, let's say, if my company deals with let's say an online product platform where I'm delivering products to different customers. So I would be this data set would be having how many orders I'm getting for a particular product, how much is my inventory and all that data, right? Okay. And then with this specific data set, you would be using this terminology called discrimination. Okay. Discrimination means I would be either classifying things, okay, whether this is belonging to a label A or B, or I would be predicting or doing regression sort of a problem solvement. That is why classical machine learning is also referred to as the discriminative AI. Okay. Okay. Now, with all this said, right, today the models we are looking over the internet, they are having capabilities to generate things. It's not just about discriminating or giving a specific label to a data set, predicting something in a way that this belongs to class A, class B, or this person. Or if I talk about facial recognition, hey, this person belongs to Kalpit, this belongs to Vikas, this belongs to Swati, and all that, right? But now we have something called generative AI. Generative AI means that a model is trained on massive data set, and data set could be anything. It could be text. Okay, it could be text, it could be images, etc. And with that, it learns the pattern so that it can create a new data which does not look like the trained data. So there are no such samples in the trained data which this particular algorithm is capable of. That means I can generate a face which was never seen on the training data at all. So this is called generative AI. Generative AI currently today, majorly we are using large language models where the name itself suggests you that, hey, it is a language model. Okay, that means it understand the language, whatever language you're giving as input, and it generates something which either not be the part of input nor the part of the training data, but it's generating something which is completely new, right? So that's why these models are called as language models. And language models, generally today we refer a large language model because they have large data set and large parameters on which they are trained on. Okay, what are these parameters, what are these data sets? Don't worry about those. Okay, this is not the concern for today's discussion, but yeah, keep that there is something, some model, some mathematical equation or a software piece which takes language as an input and do output also as language. Apart from that, language models, we do have, you know, generative AI models for images, videos, and so on. So it's not just limited to, language. Okay. But why generative AI is matter to us today? So can you just imagine, there is a model which we call it as a generative AI model, and this model is trained on a massive, massive, massive data set. Okay, and when I call it as massive data set, it's more about the whole world's knowledge. So whatever we see on the internet today, whatever archive or research paper libraries we have throughout the globe, right? Whatever information is available openly on the internet, that data is used to train these large language models. And once I talk about this, so there is no specific domain or specific data on which these models are trained on. They are so generic in nature. That means they don't have specific domain into it. And when we don't have specific domain into it, these models can be domain independent, and these models can be used by any domain. That means I don't have to train a specific model specifically for, let's say, hey, I want to create a chatbot which will gonna take decision on the medical domain. And another question is that, hey, I want to create a chatbot which can take decision on the marketing domain. But the same large language model as the base could be used. I'm not saying we have to use it, but could be used to do both of these works. Okay, and that's why generative AI matters today a lot, because same model can have multiple use cases. Okay, now if you look at in terms of business, uh, so we could see that a lot of productivity is happening around this space. And most of the researches are also happening in this space. People are really adopting these technologies a lot because of their generosity in nature. It's not like, any specific group of people will gonna be adopting this. Okay, and they have competitive edge also, right? And that's where the companies leverage generative AI with their own data, and they can build more robust system for their use case, right? So if I tell you that, what are the use case and why it is matter a lot, it is not me to explain you, or you have already felt that, right? Now there's another thing. Can you imagine that, hey, we have a large language model which is available. Recently, ChatGPT has released Model 5, right? And this model is having lots of uh, use cases, or I would say experts. So within a model, there are a lot of experts, and these experts are trained on specific domains. So let's say there is an expert which is trained on science domain, another expert on maths domain, and like that. So there are multiple experts within the model. And you can now imagine, if I'm chatting with this single model, which have a lot of experts into it, it can solve any specific reasoning task or any task for, right? And that's why it's getting very popular. All right. Awesome. So let's move on. And whenever you feel that, you have to write a query here, please don't hesitate. Write it on the Q&A board. I'm just, monitoring it while I'm giving this webinar. Okay. Now, if you see the journey, it's already known to us that in December 2022, ChatGPT hit 1 million users in 5 days. It's just because it was having a model which can generate new tokens. So if I have to broadly classify these large language models to a little bit more depth, so that you will also feel that, hey, we also gain some little technical knowledge also. So these large language models are broadly classified into two types. One are called the masked language models, and another category is called the autoregressive. So masked language models are the models uh, which are there, and these are language model, by the way. And these models, they actually uh, have capability to some task, let's say fill in the blanks, or also guessing the next token, a semantic understanding, okay, and doing any language task which is not very complex in nature. What I mean by complex is like, hey, write me a poem in 30 words. That's a very complex task. Apart from that, if I say, hey, can you fill in the blank this specific uh, line, it was dash yesterday, so it was raining yesterday, it was shiny yesterday. So all these small tasks can be done by mass language models. And mass language models, the one of the best example is the BERT. Okay, BERT is the very general example I could give here. Okay. Now, auto-regressive, the word itself says that automatically you are regressively generating something. These are the models which are generative models, and are very complex in nature, where you gonna provide some let's say input, and it will gonna automatically generate token one after another. And what are tokens? You can compare tokens like words. They have different technicality or technical meaning, but you can, for now, you can imagine tokens are like words. So autoregressive models are the models which generate next word, or if you provide a set of word, right? So generally these are the types. Now if I see, when in 2022 ChatGPT hit 1 million users in 5 days, they had the robust, or the first stage autoregressive model built and released. And that's why the whole internet was shaken up, right? The story of AI spans decades. And early work on generative AI began in 1980s, and major momentum started around 2006 with deep belief network. I think these are the sort of deep neural network, which was uh, the research paper was published in 2006. Okay, we have also seen GANs, which is generative adversarial networks. And GANs, you might have seen examples where new faces or new data has been created. Generally, tabular GANs are also available, where it is not just related to images. Let's say you have some tabular data, it can also generate more augmented data for your model training, right? So GANs have a lot of use cases. Okay, what are GANs? Why I'm discussing here, just to give you some sort of history that, hey, when we talk about generative AI, yes, we have to understand generative adversarial networks also. Okay, the real game change started when 2017 with advent of transformers. This is again a deep neural network, and transformers will fundamentally change how AI process the information. And this is where most of the uh, LLMs, which architecture they use transformers. Okay. And fast forward 2018, when OpenAI released the very first ChatGPT model. Since then, we have experienced exponential growth in AI and capabilities. I mean, this is how you have seen that the focus journey, where not only ChatGPT, but there are other companies also contributing towards these large language models. Gemini is one, Claude is one. They are the known ones. Apart from that, any company which are technically empowered, they're also having their own models. Like Microsoft is also having their own models, and Alibaba is also having their own models, right? Okay. When I talk about large language models, you might be thinking, hey, these are the models which are very, very large. And can I have some models which are small language model or SLMs? Yes, we do have SLMs. Okay, small language models. So small language models are the models which are distilled models. Distilled means like we have distillation process in refineries where we distill raw crude oil into petroleum and other. Same way, large language models have one more sort of classification which we call as small language model, and these are the models which are smaller in nature, trained on smaller hyperparameters, but data is again large, but the parameters on which these models are trained are smaller in number. That means they will consume very less resources while we are running these models. So these are the models which can run in your IoT device or mobile device or even in a computer and can give you a very high throughput as compared to large language models. So, and why we have to understand these two and the categories, because every scenario you would be making a trade-off, right? So the trade-off would be between, hey, how much accuracy I want, how much cost I want, and how much throughput I want. All these are related to this matrix where you have to trade off. So if let's say you want to create an application which might require high throughput, but accuracy is okay, no problem. Even if it is 80% accurate, I'm fine with that. Then you will gonna be using small language models. But where the accuracy or the performance of a specific model is huge, then and you don't worry about cost and the throughput, then you will gonna be using large language models, right? Awesome. I think uh, large language models, when I talk about, generally have something called um, you know fundamentally they are called as foundational models. Okay, what are foundational models? So when I talk about, hey, there's a large language model which is trained, so it means that whenever a model is trained, it is having two steps. One is called pre-training and another phase is called the post-training. Okay, okay. So when I'm training a model on large data set, a model is created. I call it as foundational model. And these foundational model has to go with some sort of fine tuning. Fine tuning means, hey, this is a model, but its use case is not defined. So when I chat with ChatGPT, the foundational model could be anything, but the use case is chat. That means I will be asking a question, it will be gonna giving me an answer back, right? So that is the part of post training. So when I have something done already, so the foundational model post training, that's where I decide what will this particular model we're gonna do. So we have a lot of work where we do fine tuning, which is actually a post training, where we decide, okay, hey, model is used for question and answer, or when I talk about a specific reasoning task, how it's gonna do that reasoning and stuff. That is all related to post training, right? Now the journey of AI is again in this slide. If you see, we have again some sort of journey explained here. So in late 2022 marked the beginning of the true agentic capabilities in GPT models. So when I talk about agentic capabilities, that's where I would like to focus on the post training part. This is the training where I give reasoning capabilities to a model. So let's say, hey, we have a lot of data on the internet. With that data, I train a transformer model, let's say GPT-4. Okay, let's say GPT-4. And this model, I call it as foundational model. And once the foundational model is provided with some sort of fine tuning, we have a lot of fine tuning techniques. With those techniques, I would be having a model which would have agentic capabilities or reasoning capabilities. What is agentic AI, by the way, guys? Can anybody give me some small description on the webinar chat? So my question is, what is agentic AI or agentic capability? Just one liner or one word, if you guys are able to recall it. I could see some responses. Anybody wants to add more words here? I'm gonna wait for a few more seconds. Okay, I think good try by everyone. People are saying chatbot and multi-application automation, but actually agentic AI is something where AI can take its own decision and it can autonomously or or it can automatically take its own decisions whenever there is a decision needed for anything, right? That is called agentic AI. So AI which is having its own capability and that make automation smooth, right? In simple word, that's what agentic AI is, right? So let's say I am talking to a chatbot. So chatbot is not agentic AI, by the way, okay? So I'm talking to a chatbot and saying that, hey, this is my ITR for this year. This is the attached Word document which contains my ITR related information. Can you file this information? Can you file my ITR? Okay. So what this bot will gonna do? It will identify that, hey, yeah, the sheet contains every information, and then it automatically decides which regime I have to file this ITR. And so decide, so I'm using this word decide and automatically, right? So this is called agentic capability. So AI itself is deciding and taking decisions, right? So it will gonna say, hey, yeah, this is fine. So now let me open the ITR website. So it's gonna open the ITR website. It will automatically log in with your username and password, and it will upload and will wait whether this has been or any text pending or not. So all these things which automatically done by AI using its capabilities, where it can make this decision, especially reasoning capabilities, that is called agentic AI. Okay. So in 2025, agentic AI is not like, hey, we are getting a lot of hallucinations, hey, this is breaking, that is breaking. A lot of things have been changed now. A lot of frameworks are created. And that's where, in 2025, agentic AI is real. It's not something, a gimmicky word where people are building some sort of tools, but it's there, right? If I talk about especially ChatGPT 5, these guys have really proved that agentic AI can do anything. Okay, all of this information traces its root, where in 1950 Alan Turing laid the groundwork for what we know called artificial intelligence. That's where, in 1950s Alan Turing called this as, there would be an intelligence created by a machine called artificial intelligence. Okay. Okay, what we could explore that, what exactly is the research where people are moving towards. People are moving towards artificial general intelligence, AGI. So AGI is something where people are working towards. Even when we look at ChatGPT 5 and the next evolution, so let's say ChatGPT 6 might be having general intelligence. General intelligence means that is no more about the tokens, no more about the context, more about that the model is behaving like completely like a human's learning of its own understanding and having decision power like human have. Okay. We are still at the early stages in this research. There are a lot of startups working in this. Most of the known companies are already working in this space. Okay, so things are still evolving. AI is something which is not like, it's stopped here. Every day there is new model, new innovation happening. You guys remember how DeepSeek shake the whole internet, and then ChatGPT 5, and all these things are coming up one after another. Okay. Okay, this is like so people, if have to differentiate between what are generative AI and agentic AI, if they have to do some sort of differentiation. So basically, it's like not a difficult thing, but so if I have to categorize some work and find out in terms of generative AI, agentic AI, how it goes. So what does it do? So generative AI is gonna create some tokens, images, or text, but agentic AI carries out tasks or goals and autonomously. Okay. Guess how does it work? Respond to prompts and question. But agentic AI is gonna take decisions. It will gonna plan something, but agentic AI would be using what? Generative AI. Today, Agentic AI uses generative AI behind the scenes. So this dependency we have, but generative AI objective is to generate. But how that generated thing would be used to make decision, that is what Agentic AI is. Very simple. Okay. So in user role, so user gives specific instruction each time. Here in Agentic AI, user sets a goal, AI works independently. Okay, so examples like chatbots, here virtual assistants and agents, especially. So just now we discussed an example of agent which is filing my text. Okay, awesome. So I think nothing new here. I think we can now make a lot of other categories and differentiate between GenAI and agentic AI, right? Cool. Let's move on. So when I talk about AI for your organization, people will think that, hey, you said that there is a foundational model which is generic in nature and can be used in any company, any industry, any domain. Nice. But what about if, let's say, I have my own data and whenever I ask question, I don't worry about its generic nature, but what I worry about is that, hey, it should give me answer within the limits of my data. It should not say, if I'm asking what is the weather in my office, or what is the temperature in my office, should not tell me temperature of Delhi, right? So how I will gonna be making these foundational models or any model available or any tool in generative AI available to me and sets its scope for within my organization, how I will gonna do that. And one of the technique which we use today to do this is called RAG, okay? Retrieval Augmented Generation. What does it do? What RAG do? But RAG is not about a model at all. RAG is more about creating context for a model. Now, before I explain more about RAG, let me give you more details about prompt. What exactly is the prompt? And I'm going to come back to this particular slide, okay? Okay, let's go to the next slide where we are talking about the prompt and its anatomy. What exactly is prompt? So basically, when I said large language model, I told you, hey, these are the autoregressive models, and these models work when you give some input. It will definitely gonna be needing some input. Input here is nothing but a sentence or a word or any single token. Okay, and based on that, it will gonna start to generate the next token. And then this word along with the next token will again feed into the model, will generate the next token. So all these models, what they do, so let's say if I have given 2 words to this model, it will gonna give me one more word, which will be the third word. So output would be 3 words. So let's say I say here, if I say here, I am, either the first word is I and the second word is, let's say, am, and the model generates the third word called I am good. Okay, so the third word which generated by the model is good. Okay, next time I want to do some more generation, then what input I will gonna give to the model? It would be I am good, and then here is the model. Let's say this is my input and here is the model. The output of the model would be I. Okay, and then when I give another sentence like I am good, the model will take it, give another token called same. So let's say I am good, I am, right? So I hope you're getting to understand, like, the model is doing only one thing, that it is adding a new token to the input. That is its work. Okay, and that's why it's auto-regress. So that it will gonna do this work until there is a termination token comes into picture. So let's say, hey, I would say that, hey, whenever am is coming, just terminate there. So it will gonna stop there, right? So if I talk about how these large language model work, they take an input string and it generates the next token. And then it will take the whole next token along the new sentence, and it again do input. It will generate a new. So these large language model, the capability is just to generate a single token at once. So now you can imagine when I asked ChatGPT to write me an email for my boss that tomorrow I am resigning, and hey, can you write me a very good email that I am giving a resignation? It should be good and all that buttery words. My boss should not feel bad. It will gonna generate this email by repeatedly sending one sentence, generate new word, and along with this new word and the previous sentence generate another word. Like that repeatedly, it happens multiple times. Now you can imagine how much of compute this work has been used, right? Correct. So that's why generating capabilities within the large language model takes a lot of time sometimes, right? Now, when I talk about this, if you see here, since the large language model is doing what? It is generating a new word, then whatever words we are feeding into it plays a very important role. Okay. So let's say if I say yesterday it was is my sentence, and I feed it into the large language model, the next word it could predict would be yesterday it was maybe shiny, yesterday it was raining, or whatever word. And when it is predicting yesterday it was, these initial words are playing a very important role in predicting the next token. That's why these three words which were given as the initial input are crucial, and that I called as context. So whenever I want to ask ChatGPT any question, I have to give the right context. And this context is not just three words. It can go up to like sentences and paragraphs and lines, lots of lines. So context is more about background, right? So when I want to ask this ChatGPT, hey, who is Ram? And he might give a wrong prediction because Ram is one of my neighbor. But what ChatGPT would say, Ram is one of the princes in according to Ramayana who defeated Ravana and all that. But what I want that hey, this Ram I'm talking about is my neighbor. Okay, so I have to set the right context. That is the first thing, and then I have to decide the role. Why role? Hey, I'm asking a scientific question to you. So I have to tell the chat GPT that, hey, assume you are a 10th grade science teacher or you are a researcher, right? With that, it it activates the right sort of expert within the model. That's why we have to define the right role. Okay. And then I have to also tell the large language model what it has to do, the action I want. And then I will gonna also tell it that what sort of output I want. When I have all these four things created in a sentence form or in a language form, where I am defining the right context, when I'm defining the right role, when I'm defining the right action, and I'm also defining the right output, this creates a right prompt. If any of this is missing, you would say, hey, AI is not good. It is hallucinating a lot. It is not giving me right outputs. It is this, it is that, and it will never gonna meet your expectation. And what delusion you're gonna having that, hey, AI is bullshit, right? So what we are understanding here is that any prompt should have these four components. So today, whenever you are going home and talking to ChatGPT, you should explain ChatGPT in depth about what is the context you're talking about, what is the role, and what you want now. What is the and output is more about hey, I want a JSON output, or I just want output in yes or no, or I want output with some sort of explanation. I want output as a Word document. You can give whatever way you want, but defining output is also very important, right? Now, when I talk about these things, and context is something which I have to build. So when I talk about company data, and let's say I am asking question about salary of an employee whose employee ID is 112. Okay, right? So while I'm asking this question to the chatbot will gonna read a simple plain sentence and then give output, right? But how this plain sentence will be created with the right context, that's where RAG comes into picture, that it will gonna filter out that employee ID data from the database by joining some tables or doing some sort of ranking algorithms or whatever. And then it will gonna provide that hey, the employee ID is 112, last time the withdrawn salary is this, and this guy is on this position. Now the role for this particular chatbot would be, hey, assume you are an HR expert, and the action is like, can you give the salary slip of last month. This is the action. Output I wanted in PDF format. With that, this chatbot now know about the employee details. He know that he is an HR, so the output should be formed in that way. The action is to create a salary slip. So it will gonna create the salary slip automatically, and it will gonna give you the output in the form of a PDF or the text, which can be later used as a PDF. Right. That is where RAG is being used. Cool. So if I move back within the slides, this is where, so the context part is taken from the RAG. So this is where, so if I talk about RAG, you have a question. Retriever is nothing with a software piece, which will gonna be taking context from your company data, and then it create a right context, right query, right prompt, and then give it to the large language model, and the large language model will gonna give you the response. This is what RAG is. RAG is not a very simple term, guys. RAG, we have a retriever, then we have a re-ranker, and there are other lot of components, right? Retriever's job is to retrieve the data. Re-ranker's job is that whatever retrieved data from the database, whether it is really meeting the condition or not, right? So RAG is a very complex topic where a lot of frameworks have been created. You would be matching the data using semantics. You would be matching data with the words. You would be matching data, with matrix multiplications. Lot of things are there in RAG. But now I hope at a high level, if you are getting confusion what RAG is, but RAG is nothing but a software which retrieves data for a specific question from your company database is called retriever, okay, or the RAG. I hope this sounds good. Awesome. Now, I think we have already discussed some of the important parts here. Here, generative AI for core business transformation. Now you could imagine, based on the capabilities of generative AI, where your business can be transformed, not only in your marketing, not only in your hiring. It could impact any domain within an organization, right? Because now you don't need any. So you need people who are expert in a domain, not expert in doing creativity. Rather, let's say, hey, I have a team where I want to create a pamphlet for my tomorrow's exhibition. Then I need a person who can understand what sort of template I want or pamphlet I want, what sort of images it should be having, and all that. I will just write a specific prompt defining the business context and other anatomy parts, and the output of the large language model will be a pamphlet. Right? So these are the sort of people where, so you might have also heard recently that Meta, I'm not sure whether this news is correct or not, but this is what I was hearing in the newspapers online, that Meta is now changing the way interviews are conducted. All these high paying, coding jobs, there would be no coding question. Rather, this question would be like, how are you going to solve this specific problem using a chat assistant like ChatGPT or anything? So it is not about competitive programming anymore. It's more about understanding the business, what sort of output you need, and how you're going to architect something so that core is now moving towards out of repetitive or coding or all those expertise, rather than having overall business domain knowledge, right? That's what is happening in industry these days. What sort of tools you should worry about? Well, generally we use LangChain. LangChain is the tool which is a prompting tool. We have LangGraph also, which is a multi-agent orchestration tool, how multiple agents will gonna be working. Hugging Face is the library where you can use all the open source models with their trained weights directly in your code. We have Streamlit. Let's say if you want to create UI using Python, you don't have to learn HTML anymore. It's a very good, framework through which you can quickly create AI centered UI. And then we have Whisper. Like Whisper. Whisper is more about a model which is an open source model which is related to sound. But yeah, I mean, these are not just the tools. Generally, we use other tools also. Uh, so let's say today, these days, no, we are not worrying about models or at all. We are worrying about prompts, because that is where the output of different uh, assistants or these large language model, we're gonna impact the business, right? So people are using versioning of the prompts. Hey, this version of prompt created this output, this moved to production, and now team is experimenting with another prompts. So we use ML flow also, which is like versioning of the prompts, and there are other tools which are there. We have Autogen, Microsoft Autogen, AUTOGEN, which is again multi-agent orchestration tool. I mean, a lot of tools. By the way, I work for Single Store. If you are looking forward for storing your data to a database which is AI centered, please go and try Single Store. There you have capabilities like Notebook, where you can run any agent and code within the browser itself. You don't have to deal with all these tools, right? And it has agents building capabilities also. And then in the database, you have capabilities of doing RAGs. So you can try that. Apart from that, database also plays a very important role. Database, I mean that, you have to store your company's data. In that, you would be storing not just the data, but also the embeddings. And what are embeddings, how they're created is not the part of today's webinar, but yeah, these are the, you could say, semantic representation of any sentence inside the database. So lot of tools are there, right? This is one of the example that how booking.com is having using generative AI to plan your trip. You give the prompt that, hey, I want to plan a 5 days trip to Shimla, and then this bot automatically takes this request, uses agentic capabilities, and give you the output that, hey, you can plan your 5 days trip like this, right? So a lot of use cases. This is one of the for booking.com. Okay. And we also discuss about ChatGPT is a mixture of experts. A lot of experts are there within the ChatGPT 5 model. So what capability it is having in simple words like smart thinking, and it is having expert accuracy, fully multi-model, and flexible versions are there that, and you might also be knowing that OpenAI has finally opened 2 models recently. So those models would gonna play a huge role uh, for uh, for your industries and your businesses, where you don't have to rely upon all these API calls. Rather, those models can run inside your organization in the cluster. So we have open source models capabilities, like what models we see in ChatGPT platform. They are now coming. Some of the models are now coming open source. Okay, I think let's discuss about great learning. Uh, So I think my business team is gonna take over from now until you have any question for me. How about Cursor, Claude, and Gemini? I think all Cursor is more about an IDE. It can use any large language model, and Claude and Gemini are already well-known companies doing a lot of research and having a lot of models. So yeah, you can try all these large language models. As per when we talk about which model is suited for what, just go and try to understand about its capabilities. They are listed on the data card of each model, and then try whether this will gonna work for your use case or not. So not every model is suited for all the tasks, so be very specific about that part. Okay, cool. Vikas, do you want to take over now?
Yeah, yes, sure, Kalpit. If it's getting late for you, you can drop off. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining.
Awesome. Vikas, would you mind sharing the screen? And I would love to have some questions, guys. I'm here for another few seconds. Uh,
Just a minute.
there's a question here called how good is AI suited for creative work? I think generative AI is more about creativity. Uh, I'm not sure what is the domain here for creative work. But yeah, people are using it to write blogs, people are using it to create images, people are using it to find new, um, or maybe in pharmacy, you could say, new salts. People are doing a lot of things with AI. So it's just that you have to, for this specific domain, you have to find out what sort of prompts are there, and you can think of creating those prompts, right?
Uh, is my screen visible, Kalpit?
Not yet, Vikas.
Okay, just a minute. Let me do it.
There's a question here. What advantage you get for giving tech talk like this? I also have idea to give tech talk in this forum on agentic AI, like AJ workshop and kind of. Sure. You guys can contact Great Learning team. If you are having very interesting topics, please. I think Great Learning is a great platform where you can give your own webinars too. Just reach
Is
out
it
to us in case you would like to give such sessions.
is it visible now, Kalpit?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, guys. I think if there are no much questions, I will gonna take your leave now. Thank you so much for having me here. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Kalpit. Thank you for joining. Okay. So, hi guys, I will be giving you some details about this generative AI course, right? And if you have any queries, you can put it in the chat section. Once we complete this, I can take you through, right? So, about Great Learning, we are one of the leading edtech company in India, and as you can see, we have around 18,000 plus career transition, 4,200 plus hiring partners. So this 4,200 hiring partner is the total from the start of Great Learning till now. And we also have academic partnership with some prestigious universities like UT Austin, Great Lakes, Northwestern School of Professional Studies, MIT, John Hopkins, Walsh College, IIT Bombay, etc. Right. So this program is generally it is mainly focused for mid-career professionals who think learning coding might be pretty hard in the middle of their career to know about GenAI, right? So this 3 months GenAI program focuses mainly on all GenAI tools and how you can implement this in your particular domain. So that is what this course is mainly used for, and these are some of the tools and technologies that you will be learning. And you can see some tools like Hugging Face, LangChain, which was mentioned earlier, right? These are some of the important tools other than ChatGPT which are being used recently. Okay. And this is a, as I already mentioned, this is a 3 month program, and you get a certificate of completion from the University of Texas, Austin, right? And you will have live sessions. So live sessions will be on the weekends. Thinking working professionals, we have structured it in such a way, right? And you will be diving into a lot of tools in the GenAI domain. Okay. And yeah, I think that's it from my side. Let me just quickly give you some queries. Um, some- yes, guys. So one thing I have to mention is this particular form. So on filling this, you will have all the details, right? If you have any queries regarding the course, if you have any queries regarding the upcoming webinars, if you want the recording of the session, any queries you can mention in this form. So our team will get back to you with all the answers, right? If you think you are joined in middle of the webinar, you need the recording of this webinar, or if you want to know about the fee structure of the course, if you want to know about the structured curriculum of the course, everything you can mention it on. Even if you want to know about the details of upcoming webinars, you can still mention this, right? And we also have a good span of programs including GenAI. We have AI programs, we have data science programs, we have wide varieties of programs. And if you're interested in any other program other than GenAI, even that you can mention. in the Google Forms, right? So whatever queries you have, you can mention there so that our team will get back to you with all the answers. I think the form is visible to all. Um, I will just maybe I can paste the form one more time. Uh, yes, please take your time and fill this form. It, uh, I think I'm audible. If you have any, yeah. What is the difference between recorded lectures of this program versus the free available courses? So if you if you see, right, the certificate is a very recognized certificate from the University of Texas Austin, right? It is one of the top colleges, right? It is ranking number 4 in business analytics in the world. So you get a very good recognized certificate in this program. And uh, what are the advantages it giving TikTok? Sorry. Uh, okay, this I don't think I have the answer. Any other question related to the course I can answer? Or else if you just fill the form, I think that will uh, okay. If you see, like we have very structured programs, okay? We have programs for students, we have programs for early career professionals, we have programs for mid-career professionals, we have even doctorate programs for the professionals who have about 8 plus or 12 plus years of experience. So this program mainly targets mid-career and uh, senior professionals, right? But there are few people even in 0 to 3 years of work experience, they still choose this program, thinking studying coding might be little hard in their because of their background, so they just want to know about the tools. So this 3 month course will give a very brief understanding about all the GenAI tools and how you can adapt these tools in your domain or in your business field, right? Any other questions you have? I could see good number of responses. I would request everyone to fill the form. As we have 2 more minutes, you can put any questions either in the chat section or in the Q&A. I can still answer, and we will close the session by 7 p.m. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day.